So first of all, thank you so much for meeting with us. We really appreciate it. I guess just getting right down to it, why are you running?
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I love to be here at the Cal Poly campus. I attended Cal Poly for 3 years, and it was just a special place in my heart. I'm running for Congress because I think America's at a crossroads. And I want to make sure that that American dream that I'm living today, because I'm the son of immigrant field workers who came to America with only the shirt on their back, but had something that had infinite value, which was their values: hard work, personal responsibility, and integrity. I feel like that's going away, and that opportunity is no longer there for the next generation. And I want to go back to Congress, and I want to put my experiences as a small family business owner, as a family man, as a local government person, as a state legislative experience, and I actually have executive branch experience to put it to work back in Washington, to bring people together to make our country work again.
Okay, great. That kind of brought me to one of my questions. So you've had quite an interesting background and to where you got today. I mean, you've taken a lot of steps to get there. Can you sort of talk about that experience, how you got to where you are today?
Well, yes. In 1993, I was at Cal Poly, and not in 1993 was at Cal Poly. In 1993, out on the farm, I decided that, you know what, I want to get involved in public service. I didn't think government was there to do what it said it was going to do. You know, during the campaigns, everybody promises everything. And I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to run for office. And I got involved. And I couldn't get a building permit in Santa Maria. And I got involved, and here I am. Obviously, I started at a very young age. I was 24 years old. I was a city council member in the city of Santa Maria. And then I became the mayor and then a member of the legislature. But that's how I got involved in government. It wasn't on my list. It wasn't on my mind. It's just something triggered it, and I got to share something with you. I love public service, and I love helping people, especially people that can't help themselves.
So what are some of the things that you want to bring to Congress?
I want to bring 3 things that are important in Congress. We need to bring people that are open-minded, people that are pragmatic, and people that are reasonable. And the people that are more worried about governing and making America work than to get involved in this hyper-partisan political stuff that goes on back in Washington, where Republicans say one thing and Democrats say another, and they fight each other, and at the end of the process, we have nothing. So I want to take some good leadership, some strong leadership skills that isn't worried about who's going to get the credit. We're just going to get the job done for the people we represent.
I think we could definitely use that. So what sort of local connections do you have since you did start in Santa Maria and locally? Like, how will that help you?
I was born and raised in this district. This is my district from the standpoint that I was born in a small ranch in Santa Maria, but I'm connected to it. I was raised on a ranch. I was picking strawberries, cutting broccoli and cauliflower, and moving sprinkler pipes, and doing all the things that young kids that are raised on a ranch do. And I bring that local perspective that I want to take back to Washington, and let people know that San Luis Obispo County is a very special county with, obviously a lot of tourism, a lot of great wines, great agriculture, great tourism, high tech now. And that same thing carries down, obviously, into Santa Barbara County, but obviously San Luis Obispo has something else that's very, very special. It's got Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's the crown jewel, and it's just beautiful.
Definitely. So you attended Cal Poly. You majored in crop science.
Yes.
So what did you learn during your time at Cal Poly, and has that impacted some of the decisions that you've made and some of the decisions that you hope to make?
Sure. I mean, obviously, Cal Poly is learn by doing. And I lived at the crops unit here, right across the football stadium. And I worked at the crops unit, at the crops house. And I learned a lot here. And obviously, I didn't complete everything, but I can honestly say that it gave me my foundation and my platform to get me to go back and to raise a family. Because my father's farm wasn't growing because he didn't speak English. And when I left here, I can tell you we took it to another level. And Cal Poly is a lot of my background, a lot of my backbone that's given me the opportunity to lead. It taught me how to say a few words, and it taught me everything.
Great. So, sort of while we're on the topic of Cal Poly and school, is there any certain steps that you think you're going to take to try to sort of fix our education system? Right now, we have a lot of teacher strikes taking place. Our tuition just keeps on increasing. Classes are being cut. Financial aid's being cut. The amount of funding that the state's giving to us is all being cut. So what sort of things are you going to do to fix all of that?
Well, look, first of all, we have a crisis in confidence in America. And when there's a crisis in confidence, small family business owners don't invest more money. Businesses don't hire more people. They don't create more jobs. So that's why we have such a high unemployment. What I'd like to do is to have our economic stability, to have our small businesses, give them some certainty in order for them to grow. And once they grow, we'll get people off of unemployment. People will be working, they pay more taxes. And when we have more taxes coming in because there's less unemployment, I can tell you that I think we can get back to where we can have a government that works. There's no secret. I was on this state board of trustees. I was a regent of the University of California, and I was also a trustee on the CSU. And I never voted for increases in tuitions because I never thought that it was the fault of the students that Sacramento was spending way too much money. Also in Washington, they're spending way too much money, and we're never going to catch up. We got to get our economy back on track so we can get back to funding the basics, and obviously higher education is very important to me.
So are you going to try to get anything specific passed to achieve all of that?
Well, in Washington, obviously the University of California is run from the state, and so is CSU, the California State University system. But Washington can help by giving an economy that grows and less regulations. And when economy grows, businesses grow. And when businesses grow, there's more revenues, there's more taxpayers. And I think it's important that we do that.
Okay. What do you think about the current CSU presidential salaries? I know they're extremely high, and President Armstrong's obviously kind of received some criticism because we're increasing tuition and people kind of want to see where the balance is, if he's making any sacrifices too. What is your stance on all of that?
There's no secret. If you're a student and you see what the president makes on a salary basis, not only at Cal Poly, but on a statewide basis, and then you see that they're raising the tuition, it's not a happy moment for students. I wasn't happy either. I can tell you that President Armstrong is a very qualified, and I think is going to make a great president for not only Cal Poly, but for the state of California. And I think I should say that, we are competing with other universities across America to get the best and the brightest. My biggest issue was in the past with CSU was not disclosing what presidents were making or disclosing part of what presidents were making. Now CSU is disclosing everything, and I think we're on the right path.
Transparency is definitely really key. So then on a broader level, what do you think about our education system throughout the United States? What do you think needs to be improved there?
Well, it's obviously not being funded to the national average. We're talking about California, K through 12, and we have a university system that every day is taking cuts, and it's unfortunate. And it's taking cuts because Washington can't get their act together, because there's no certainty coming out of Washington. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, so businesses aren't hiring more people. People are getting laid off, and the resources aren't there. I want a vibrant economy. I want an economy that's working hard. I want there to be some certainty for small family businesses. I want less regulations. I want to relook at Dodd-Frank. I want to start over on the Affordable Care Act. I want to put some certainty into the system so we can start creating more jobs, and creating more jobs will create a better atmosphere so there's more funding for CSU and UC and, of course, K through 12.
Great. So California obviously has the largest market for agriculture in the United States. Do you think that that will play a role in your potential role too?
Well, listen, I'm a Californian, and I love California. And I don't think there's a better state in the nation than California. I was born and raised here. And, you know, I'm going back to Washington to make sure that the people of California get their fair share. Right now, we're a donor state. California receives, I think, 75 cents of every dollar we send to Washington. We need to make sure that California is getting its fair share. And we need a little less hyper-partisanship. We need people that are willing to go back there, work together, and govern. Because right now, it seems like Washington's ungovernable because politicians don't want to make the tough decisions to govern. I'm not that person. I'm going back there to work in a bipartisan way and to govern and to move our great state forward.
Okay. Let's see. So, going again back to like a broader scope, what's your stance on the healthcare system? I know you sort of just mentioned you were talking to the medical association here. I
know that there's a lot of people that are uninsured, and I want to make sure we put something in place, a healthcare system in place that insures more people. But I don't support the Affordable Care Act because the way they did it was wrong. They just rammed it through the House of Representatives. They rammed it through the Senate, and the president signed it immediately. They didn't even read the bill. I mean, there was politicians that said, you know, let's just pass it and we'll look at it later. Some politicians said, you know what, it's a gamble, and who knows what's going to happen. Bottom line, we need to start over. And we need to start over in a bipartisan way. There are some good things in the Affordable Care Act that we can look at, like the preconditions, you know, extending for young children on their families' policies. But the way they did it, they said, no, we're just going to throw everything into one pot and we're going to pass it through. We're not even going to read the bill. They did it the wrong way. It wasn't even bipartisan. So I say, let's start over. And let's eliminate the mandate. There's a mandate now. If you're a young individual and you don't have insurance, they're going to fine you $1,000 for not having insurance. Well, I look at it this way. If you don't have a job and you can't afford it, you're not going to buy it. So it's just not right. They also did an independent payment advisory board. They did a panel of 15 people, Lindsay. Unelected, unaccountable people. Why did Congress do that? So if someone goes to the doctor, doesn't get the care that they feel that they deserve or the right care, Congress people are just going to blame the IPAB board. They're going to say, you know what, it's not us. It's this board that made the decision. They said 3 things were going to happen. They said premiums were going to go down. They didn't. They said it was going to create more jobs. It has not. And they said you were going to get to keep your own doctor. You can't. So it's broken. Let's start fresh in a bipartisan way, and let's come up with a solution. Even if it's a small solution, but take little bites at the apple, but eventually get to where we want to go. Congress wanted to do everything overnight, which, you know, I can understand where they something noble, let's do it. But government was designed to move slow. It's the way the Founding Fathers designed our government.
It's definitely not a quick fix, that's for sure. So, also, do you have any sort of maybe rough plans to help improve the economy?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the first thing we need to do is lift the spirits of the American people and just start talking about optimism and that tomorrow's a better day. And you're going to start by, you know, giving them a little certainty. See, when you give businesses certainty, they invest. There's a lot of money in America. There's a lot of money offshore. There's a lot of money in cookie jars that people just aren't spending because there's no certainty from government. And what does Washington do? Washington comes down and says, you need to do that, you need to do that, so people don't grow. So what do we need to do? I think the first thing we ought to do is start over on the Affordable Care Act. That'll give some certainty and come back slowly. We need to eliminate Dodd-Frank. It's too burdensome. It's redundant. Businesses won't invest. Banks won't loan people. Why? There's no certainty. I think we need to lower the tax rate. I mean, the tax rate needs to be lowered. And you know what? I don't know what the right number is, should be lowered, but we should lower it and keep it there for 5 years. That'll give some certainty. I also believe we need to have some less regulations and lift the spirits of the American people. Energy. We need an energy plan. We need to invest in renewables, but we should only invest in R&D. We shouldn't get involved in this cronyism where you give millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to startups that are never going to make it. And I think lastly, we need to fix the tax code. It's too big. It's It's nobody understands it. And when I say nobody, accountants don't. I mean, I didn't realize that the person that runs the IRS has to hire somebody to prepare their taxes. I mean, 70-something thousand pages, it needs to be fixed. So all those things, put them together, I think we would be on our way and start to stimulate the economy of America.
Great. Well, I guess we've covered a lot of information, but since I think our goal with these stories is to get people to know people of District 13. So is there anything, or 24, my gosh, sorry. So is there anything you would want to add, like that I didn't cover, that would say something about you?
No, Lindsay, I think I would hope that people would go out there and read the voter guides and get involved, find out who they're really supporting. I hope that they would give me an opportunity to serve, and I'll tell you why. I think I have the qualifications and the experiences to turn this country around. I have the qualifications of knowing how to start a small family business and the qualifications of a job creator. I have local government experience. I've been at the ground level. I also have state legislative experience. I know what it is in the legislature, and I also have executive branch experience. But there's something else I also have. I've never forgotten where I come from. I come from the fields of California. Those are humble fields, humble beginnings. I'll never forget where I come from. I'll never forget who put me in office. That's the great people of California. And last but not least, I'll never forget whose money government spends. It's the people's money, not the politicians. So as I go on this journey of what we call a job application of running for Congress, I hope that the people will look at me and say, you know what, we do need a new direction in Washington. We need to get on the right track. Let's get some fresh, young blood to go over there and work hard for America. I hope they give me an opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.